Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Daryl Show Your Work. And in this episode, I am going to be going over scripting methods for cybersecurity work. In specific, we're going to be looking at a simple Python script made for port scanning. Just going to go over line by line, which each part of that does. And then after that, we'll be creating a small bash script just to do some pinging. Just wanted to cover the fundamentals of this. So the first thing that we're going to do is look over this Python script, like I said, but let's define exactly what Python is. So Python is a versatile interpreted programming language known for its emphasis on readability, modularity, and code reuse. So you're going to see as we go through to this file, it's comparatively to other scripting languages, it's easier to read and probably easier to catch on to because it looks so much like just regular human readable language. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look for the file here in my local directory. All right, so if you can see here, kind of in the light blue greenish color here is ports underscore scan dot py. And for those that don't know, .py is the format that Python scripts are stored in. So this is the file that we're going to be working with. So to display what's going on inside, I'm going to do the cat command, and then I'm going to specify the port. The file name. Hit enter. All right, so let's start from the top. All right, so import sys. So the sys module it provides functions and variables to interact with a Python runtime environment. Moving down to import socket, the socket maps to the BSD socket interface. So that's what this is. All right, now we're going to move on to the arguments here, where you see the sys dot argv 1, 2, and 3. All right, so this function returns a list of command line arguments passed to the script, which are by default in the format of a string. But I want you to keep that in mind as we move on to the next part. I want you to really focus on this int portion of the code. So the start port, then you see equal size int, and then you see finish underscore equal size int. These are the starting and ending ports, and are going to be parsed as integers and stored in the start underscore port and finish underscore port variables respectively. So this is where we're going to put like where when we specify on the command line which port do we want this to start scanning at, that goes here. Which port do we want it to finish scanning at, that's going to go here. And then we're specifying that we want that to be read as integers, because if we didn't specify this here, as you can see up here, that it's going to be read as a string, and we want it to be read numerically. All right, so going down here to count ports, this is initialized to store the number of open ports, and all variables must be assigned an initial value upon declaration. Now moving down here to where you see the 4-port in range. So the range function requires integer values. Going back to the importance of this up here. All right, passing any other type would result in error. It generates a sequence of numbers between two integers, which corresponds to the port numbers to be scanned. All right, so again, if we were to pass a string, which it would do by default, then when it runs this portion of the code, it will return back a error, because again, we're looking for port. We're trying to scan for port numbers, not port strings. All right, so to further kind of break this down as far as how this works, each time a port is scanned with the integer range, a loop of the following steps are conducted. First, a TCP socket is created. The socket is used to connect to the target. A determination is made if the port is open or closed, and the socket is then closed depending on what it finds. And it's going to do this throughout the range of the scanning. So if we do like let's say scan port 1 to port 100. It's going to follow those 4 steps each time. Now, if the port is closed, the code within the if statement, which is right here in this portion of the range code, the code within the if statement is bypassed. The connection is closed, and the next port is tested. So if it's going to come back to it with this number where you see 0, that is a positive return code. Any number other than 0, let's say even if it was a 1, if it were to come back as a 1, it would skip this whole portion of the code, and it would just jump to socket close and move on to the next port. All right, now if the port is open, a message is printed to display the port, and the port counts variable is incremented by 1. So that's what's going on here. So it's going to display a message here. That's what this print command means, and then it's going to take what's going on here by the count ports, and it's going to increment that by 1. So that's pretty much what's going on in this code. Now let's run it, so we can get a better idea of how it's supposed to work. So I'm gonna first, in order to run the Python script, I'm gonna write Python 3 because that's the version that we're using, kind of similar to how it was in the HPing walkthrough. All right, then I'm going to specify the file, which is port underscore scan dot py. All right, and then we want to tell it the target. So we're going to scan 192.168.1.101. All right, now we want to specify the starting point and the finishing. The starting port and the finishing port. So let's do port 20 through 4000. All right. So we're telling Python version 3 to execute the port the script port underscore scan.py at target machine 192.168.1.101 and scan ports 20 through 4000. I'm gonna hit enter. Let's see what happens. All right, so that was actually pretty fast. So as you can see, it came back, and we have 5 ports open. As you can see, it printed out the statement is supposed to print out, because these are the ports that got a return code 0 for, and it read them as integers. So it's saying that we have 5 out of 3,980 ports open, and it got that from the count ports portion of the code, where it stores the total amount and increments it by 1 every time it reads that portion of the code. So that's basically that's a basic Python script. This is just a really basic layout of how it works. So if we wanted to, let's say, remove this file, I would do rm, then type in the file name, port scan.py. So I'm gonna remove that because we're done working with it, and I'm gonna tell it, it's asked me, am I sure? And I'm gonna tell it, yes, I'm sure. All right. Now the next thing we're gonna be moving on to are bash scripts, which bash scripts are just basically just text files that contain a series of commands, and we're going to see that as we go through and create this basic bash script file. So first thing to do when you're creating a new file from the command line, you're going to put in a command called touch. All right, then we want to call this file that we're creating ping, since that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to use this file, this bash script, just to do a basic ping command. So we're going to say ping.sh, hit enter, and it's a bash. It uses shell script, so that's why we're doing the sh format as far as the file. All right. So let's test out, before we start putting things into this file, let's test out the actual command that we want to put inside of it, and let's see how it's supposed to work from the command line, so we know what we're comparing the functionality to. So from the command line, to do a ping, you would just do ping, and let's say I want to ping the same address that we ran that scan on, which is 192.168.1.101, and we want it, it's kind of similar to how we did with hping. We want to specify the ICMP packet amount, because if we don't, it's just going to keep going and going and going. It's just going to keep sending endless packets to this target. And so we want to specify how many pings we want to do against the target machine. We're just going to say 1. All right. So I'm gonna hit enter. And it came back and it told me that, hey, 1 was transmitted, 1 was received, and this machine is up. That's essentially what we're doing when we're doing a ping, just to see if whatever device lives at that address is actually active. And of course, we know it is, based upon this and based upon the previous port scan. All right, now let's start putting this actual command into the file that we just created. So in order to do that, we're going to do an echo. Then we're going to say double quote. Well, let's see. Hold on. Let's shortcut it. All right. So instead of writing the whole thing out, we're just going to take the previous command that I put in, and we're going to just put an echo before it, space, and then I'll put double quotes around it. All right, then I'm going to say to output that, and to do that, it's a greater than to our ping.sh file. So this is basically going to place, echo is specifying what set of instructions we want to put in into what file. And that's what I'm basically saying on this command line entry. So I'm going to hit enter. All right, and let's cat this our ping shell file here, just to make sure that those instructions are indeed in there. I'm gonna cat it, and as you can see, those instructions are in there. So let's try to run this. Let's see what happens if we try to run this file. So remember, in order to execute a file from a command line, you want to do a period, a backslash, and then we want to say, we want to put the file name ping.sh. All right, I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so we got permissions denied, and that's because we don't have execute permissions. So we have to give ourselves execute permissions in order to be able to successfully execute this file. So in order to do that, we're going to do chmod, which is change modify, and we're going to give ourselves permission of 744, which is just enough to give us execute permissions. And then we're going to specify the file we want to give those permissions to, which is ping.sh. So I'm hit enter. All right, it looked like that took. So let's see. So let's go back in our history, and let's try to execute this file again. And success. As you can see, we got the same result here that we did when we ran the command straight from the command line, where we entered it into this shell file and executed the actual file from the command line. We got the same result, which is we had Cali send an ICMP packet to the target address, and we got back a message saying that the device there is indeed up. So let's go inside the text editor, and let's do a bit more tinkering with this script. So in order to open up a text editor, you have multiple text editors. You have Nano, you have Vim, but we're going to use Nano for this. So in order to open this file up and do some modifying, we're going to say Nano ping.sh, hit enter. All right, now we're inside the file. So let's say we wanted someone else to use this file. Someone else, wanted to use this file, know what the file is for. So we're going to specify here at the top. I'm gonna do a number sign, a hashtag, and that's commenting. That's the text editor that this is a comment and this is not to be executed. So this is basically for reading purposes only. And I'm gonna put a bang. It's called shebang, by the way. All right, and then I'm gonna put backslash, then, slash bash. All right, so what I've done here is basically I've told anyone interacting with this file that this file should be executing using a bash interpreter. All right, and so if I go further down here, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. All right, so let's say that I wanted to save even more time and not write out this address like in the file here. So if I were to do a number sign 1, I'm telling this command line to, hey, read everything that comes after the file name first and execute whatever that particular thing is. In this case, it's going to be ping. So it's going to be the same as, hey, execute ping and count 1. So I'm going to show you what I mean here. I'm going to do a control X, and that's going to give me a save option. So I'm going to hit Y for yes. All right, then hit enter, and that's going to take us out of our text editor. All right, and so I'm going to execute this again. All right, and it should give me an error. Yeah, right. So so now I have to specify the actual IP address, and this is just showing a different way we can do things. So while we don't have to clearly define the IP address inside of the script, we can do it on the command line. The reason why we may want to do that is because if we don't want to just be, nailed down to only being able to use the script against this one address, then it's good to kind of put something in there to say, hey, we want this function, and we could specify where we want to run the script against on the command line. So I'm going to run this command again, except now on the command line, I'm going to specify where I want to aim at. And so this allows us to be able to use this script against any target we want to. And again, when we declare it inside of the actual script, then it limits us to just to that particular address. So I'm gonna hit enter, and we should get the same result that we've been getting, which is packet successfully received. All right. So one more thing that I want to show. What if we wanted that every time that we ran this successfully, we wanted some type of message back telling us that, hey, this executed correctly, or based upon this return code, this is what's going on. Remember that return code of when we're using Python, that return code of 0 meant a positive result. Anything other than 0 is a negative result. So let's try to emulate that same thing here when creating this bash script. So I'm going to go back inside of it. Nano ping.sh. All right, this time I'm going to add an if statement to it. So I'm going to say if brackets $, question mark, is equal to 0, then semicolon, move on to the next line, and then I'm gonna put my then statement, which tells it what to do. If you can get a return code that's equal to 0, then tell us by saying echo host $1 is up. End quote. All right, and then to finish my if statement, I need to put Fi. All right, so I'm gonna hit Control X. Remember, this is how I save my work, and then I'm put Y, and then enter. Okay, now let's try to run this command line again. All right, so going back in my history, I bring up the command, and let's see what it tells us. And as you can see, it came back saying that host 192.168.1.101 is up. So we were able to not only to successfully run the script, but successfully get a message back when getting a positive return code. So this is just a basic fundamental scripting. Again, we looked at we broke down and looked at the layout of a simple Python script used for port scanning. And we also just created our own bash script, which was used just to ping an available device. So I advise just to please like, subscribe, share, and most importantly, show your work. Until next time, take care of yourself, and God bless.